Are you ready to have your mind changed?
I don't know.
I'm ready to not have my mind changed.
Find out next time on the Lutheran Ladies Lounge. Or now.
This time. What do you mean?
I have a confirmation bias towards fruitcake.
Me too.
There's no disappointments.
Me too. Probably the opposite direction, though. 'Cause don't you love it? Sorry, we should probably record now instead of talking about it.
Okay, here we go. You're listening to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Erin.
I'm Bree.
And I'm Rachel.
It is an Erin's recipe card day today. Ooh. And once again, for the last time, hopefully not for too long, we are all in studio together.
Yay.
And we made this special effort. Effort is a good word.
I would say that's a good word.
To all be in studio for this Erin's recipe card because there is actual fruitcake in this studio.
All right, I did this. I said, let's rearrange the recording schedule so I get to eat. And I have no regrets.
It's true. We are recording out of order, which we don't normally do.
But it's fruitcake.
But it's fruitcake. It's worth it, maybe.
Maybe.
Is it?
I don't know.
Erin, this is you.
Okay.
Convince us.
Let her rip.
Here we go.
Okay.
So, last year, I got it in my head that fruitcake would be an excellent topic to cover in the Lutheran Ladies Lounge because I feel that fruitcake is one of those truly classic old-fashioned recipes, and my great-grandmother's recipe is amazing. And I feel fruitcake is one of those things that people, I don't know, it's somehow a polarizing,
Yes.
It's very
polarizing dish. And I get that there's a lot of bad fruitcakes out there. But my family fruitcake is really, really delicious. Now, it is a lot of work, but Lutheran ladies are willing to spend a lot of time working on a dish if it's really worth it. I think. So I wanted to cover this one. The recipe that I'm gonna make, well, that I did make, that was part of why I got the idea of it last winter. But the timeline of it was such fruitcake is not at its best immediately. It really benefits from a bit of an aging process. So once I got the idea of it, then I needed to schedule a time for it because it is an undertaking. My family makes it every 5 years or so because it's too much work to try and do every year. So
I'm really intrigued.
Anyway, it had been a while. I got my mom and my Aunt Mary Jo on board with making this fruitcake.
Tight.
We made it in January. And that was this year. So last winter is when I got the idea. It was in... Anyway, that's the side point.
You're about to feed us food that's 10 months old.
Yes. Now,
I'm so excited.
I just wanted to clarify that statement.
Now, when I say that fruitcake benefits from an aging process, yes, it definitely does. It needs that time to sit because all of the dried fruit in it needs time to sort of soak up the extra moisture that you've added, and the flavors need to sort of meld together. And so I feel like in America we're not so keen on old food like this, but in the rest of the world they're okay with old food. So anyway, I am feeding you, yes, it is 10-month-old fruitcake. However, I will also say that I have enjoyed and treasured and doled out in very small slices so that I can make my fruitcake last me for 3 years.
Whoa.
And it's still tasty. Now it's no longer at its peak at 3 years. It's sort of past the prime of life, but it's still delicious.
Huh.
Okay, so I have a question, and maybe you're going to go into this. You'll get there. But like, for me, I am decidedly anti-fruitcake. However, I am very willing to have my mind changed. I feel like the media has really informed my notions of what fruitcake is, which is always viewed in a poor light. So I'm like, why would I ever attempt to eat fruitcake because it's terrible? And then it ends up being that I get it from the grocery store and it is terrible. So I guess my question is the whole like preservation / long-term aging, lack of instant gratification, do you think that's why grocery store fruitcake is so terrible?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's really about the ingredients, the quality of the ingredients.
Yeah.
I think that is the primary thing that sets good fruitcake apart from the rest.
Okay.
But you're right that there is a huge stigma against fruitcake in our
Yes.
culture. I personally hated it with a passion until I actually tried it. I don't know where I got my prejudice. But then I tried it, and this is really good. I don't know what I was thinking. But we also in this country have a prejudice against desserts that don't involve chocolate.
Also true.
And there's no chocolate in fruitcake. And, flavors like citron are a little out of our normal comfort zones.
Raisins.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would like to go back, though.
Yeah.
You said that we in this country are not a fan of old food.
It's true.
I had a granola bar yesterday. I have no idea how old that was.
That is fair.
We're used to a shelf
You
life
are
of 3
right.
years.
Yeah.
Your fruit snacks, Brie.
Yeah.
How old are those?
Well, they're all gone because I've eaten all of them.
That is a good point.
But you have no
Rachel.
idea when
No,
you bought
you're
them
absolutely- you're
whether they were made
absolutely right.
last week or like 3 years ago.
What
because
color were the chocolate chips? Were they like gray chocolate chips in your granola bar?
I don't think I had. It was a coconut almond
Okay.
granola bar. So no, they were.
But you know when they've reached their peak, when
Right.
the
Yeah.
chocolate chips are like grayish,
I
white.
think there's a difference between stuff that comes in a package and stuff that
Indeed.
you
So,
make, though.
Homemade old food is maybe what we
Yes.
seem to like. That used to be what everyone ate. We
Right.
used to be about preserving food, and then the 50s came, and that all changed. And now we want the store-bought preserved food, and we get weird about stuff that's been prepared and isn't hermetically sealed in plastic, and
this idea that leftovers should not be consumed after the third day or something.
Right.
My husband has the rule, if it doesn't smell bad and there's nothing growing on it, it's still good, even if it's been 3 weeks.
I feel very called out right
how does
now.
it feel about 3 years?
If it doesn't have mold on it and it doesn't smell funny, it's probably fine.
Exactly. I like your husband. I'm excited to
Probably
meet him.
helps you cultivate good gut bacteria.
That's true.
Yes. Well, we
Yes.
also make stuff with honey and that naturally
That's
preserves
true.
stuff anyway,
Helps.
and it's
Yes.
better after you wait
Yes.
several days to eat it anyway. So
Now, another reason why fruitcake lasts so well, and this recipe in particular, I can't speak to all fruitcake, but this recipe, part of why it lasts so well is that most of the recipe are things that already are made to preserve well on the shelf. It is full of dried fruits and nuts. So
that'll do it.
there's not much that's going to turn. They're already made to be shelf stable. So the fruitcake that my family makes, yes, it's primarily fruit and nuts. It is bound together with the minimum of batter that will make it actually hold its form. So there is not a lot of cake to, it's mostly fruit. Fruit and nut with just a little bit of cake to help it stay together in a loaf shape.
Which is totally not what you get when you do
I
store
know.
bought.
Again, it
it's
is-
the
it
opposite.
Because the fruit
Right.
and the nut are the expensive part.
Right.
And
It is
the
also
flour-
not cheap.
The flour and the sugar are the cheap part. So that's what you're
Yes.
going to get the most of in
Yes.
your supermarkets.
Yeah.
Fruitcake.
Exactly.
Fascinating. I want to know what this
So-
looks like.
Yeah.
Aaron,
and-
bring out that fruitcake.
Whoa, that's a knife.
Well, let me see that.
I could make it make a sound. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Not a very good sound.
I gotta see this fruitcake.
It's very small.
Is that green? Is it green?
It is green.
Okay.
It is green cellophane.
Oh,
Not actually green.
I thought the cake was green.
It's covered in mold green.
It's like neon too. I was like, wow.
Okay. It's coming out of the Ziploc bag.
Yes.
I feel
And
like
in the Ziploc bag, it is in green cellophane, not a layer of mold.
these are very authentic sounds right now.
Yes.
I love it.
We're having a genuine unboxing here.
I'm having like a Pavlov's dog reaction right now.
I feel like I should have been
The
videoing this.
cellophane is coming off, and underneath I see gold. No, there's another layer. It's cheesecloth.
This is like calling a baseball game.
Okay, it's golden brown somewhere in
Okay.
there.
Whoa, I smell it.
cheesecloth.
I know. I'm gonna have you all take a whiff.
Okay.
Yes, there is a
Whiff.
smell that just arose off of it. as
I smell.
unpacked it.
Oh, that's spicy.
The spice. I like the spice.
Like-
oh, there is cheesecloth on it.
That's a key step.
It's bumpy.
Smell it.
I'll be taking this. Thank you. That smells awesome.
It is
Bree
like-
sold.
It is just, it's a sophisticated,
It smells like
spicy,
Christmas.
warm
Did you get a good
aroma.
Here, let me whiff it again.
With
It's
it, girl.
the kind of smell that makes you think you will never have to compete with children
Oh,
for this, which in my world is an absolute plus.
That smells like Christmas.
It
Like,
does.
straight up.
it smells
Okay.
like Chris Kindle Market.
The cheesecloth is coming off slowly. We're unwrapping it.
Is the cheesecloth like a brownish from like the wrapping of it?
It's like a mummy of fruitcake.
I'll explain more about that. That's
Okay.
part of the process.
Okay.
Whoa, that looks amazing.
Okay, it's not golden brown. It is dark brown, almost auburn and lumpy all over because there are obviously.
Yeah, I'll let
Is
you
that
take
a
a
whole
little-
pecan?
Yes.
It's lumpy.
Take
Oh, my
another
word.
I get another smell.
Take another. Well, peer at it. You can see.
Okay,
appreciate
I am
it's
seeing
a little-
whole pieces of fruit and nuts in this, and I am in love.
I'm gonna let you not take a look because you seem disturbed by the lumps.
You might want to bring it over here
Wanna
unless
take a
you want
look?
me. Yes.
Okay.
I might take a bite out of it.
Chomp.
Don't drool, Brie. Stop.
Control yourself.
I can't do it.
Okay.
That look good.
So if it turns out not to be an enormous amount of work, I would like to make this. So you must tell
Yeah.
us about the recipe.
Except I feel like it is an enormous amount of work from what you've said.
It's worth it. Yeah, it is a lot of work. Okay, so one, you do have to plan ahead because there's a lot of ingredients you need to purchase. This probably is not something you're going to be able to make just from your pantry.
I guarantee that.
So
Depends on whose pantry.
it's true. Some
true.
people maybe they could. However, most people I think are going to
Martha
they're going to
Stewart.
end up needing to do some shopping.
I'm gonna
Okay,
whip up a fruitcake
I
today.
make my own granola. Is that sort of the same kinds of ingredients that will?
There's going to be definitely overlap
Okay.
in them. There are.
Fruitcake
It's still-
granola?
See, this is because it's young. It's still not totally cohesive.
It's young because it's not a year old yet.
Exactly.
I love it.
So you're saying it's an ice cream topping.
Whoa.
Yes.
Also, I think it's falling apart because you're cutting those pieces awfully thinly.
Maybe that's part of it. I'll try a little thicker and see if that helps. But that did help.
I'm not
gotta make it last.
griping.
Smells so good.
Here we go.
You could hear a pin drop in the studio right now.
I'm posting this on Instagram right now.
Oh, that was a beautiful slice. Okay.
I want that one.
Okay. Here we go.
Thank you.
Oh, that is a beautiful slice.
Let Brie have it because she needs to have a wonderful,
You can have
good
it.
I need to have a
experience.
whole sensory experience. I'm gonna sneeze.
More pictures, but not. This is the first one that's been cut into this year.
Gesundheit.
So
Thanks.
Okay. Now, normally I do eat this I usually put butter on it, but you don't have to. Do you want some butter on yours? Why don't you decide? You butter your own if you want it buttered.
How dare you even ask?
So.
You know, for science, for maximum science, I would like half a slice buttered and half a slice.
That's probably a good idea.
So I'll take that plate with the runty bits there so I can...
The runty bits.
Yes. Oh, this butter is it's the canola butter.
Spreadable.
Like the butter that has the oil added to it to make it easy to spread, but it's not been in the fridge today, so it's extra easy to spread.
Very easy to spread.
It's canola oil.
So.
BYOB, bring your own butter.
All right. I have some butter applied to my fruitcake, and I will refrain from eating any of it until you've told me about the recipe.
Oh my goodness.
This looks...
Oh my gosh, it's it's just straight up like nuts and fruits.
This looks nothing like the fruitcake you buy in a store at all.
I do miss the red and green cherries part of it, though.
Where's the
See, that's the part I didn't like, though.
That was the only part I liked.
Okay, let me butter my own.
I'm just gonna smell it. Dude, Yankee Candle needs to get the corner on this odor and make a candle out of it.
Yes.
That would help end the fruitcake stigma, maybe.
I think you're right.
I mean, look at what they've done for pumpkin spice.
It's true.
Yes.
Okay, so the recipe.
Let's hear it.
Here we go. This is called Very Best Fruitcake.
I believe it.
And
Very best.
it is, again, from what is essentially my family's official cookbook, which is the Church of All Nations cookbook from Hong Kong sometime in the 70s.
I love it.
It is full of recipes contributed by my grandmother. This one was contributed by her, but it is actually her mother's recipe.
Wow.
Whoa.
So
how old is this recipe then?
well,
Like, this is legit.
It's probably more than a century old, realistically.
Wow.
So cool.
Because my grandmother is approaching a century. She's not there yet. But I'm guessing it wasn't like her mother just came up with it when she was super young. So,
Yeah.
okay. Ingredients. 1 pound of pitted dates.
Okay.
Okay.
2 pounds.
Got those.
Seedless raisins.
Got those.
1 pound currants.
Do not have those.
I had those recently. Used them.
Okay. 1 pound golden raisins.
Oh, I like those.
An 8-ounce jar of maraschino cherries.
Oh,
That's my
There's your
favorite
cherries.
A half-pound can of pineapple chunks.
of course.
A 1/4 pound dried apricots cut in half. 1/4 pound dried and chopped figs.
Those I've never bought.
I bought them once and never used them.
Dried figs are the best.
Okay.
Brienne, do you have butter on your nose? Because you're smelling that so hard.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, here's a
I'm sorry. Please go on with the long list of expensive fruit products.
Take a picture so I can see it. Thanks.
Okay. So,
I'm so sorry.
Oh my
Erin.
gosh.
Please go on.
I love myself. I'm not embarrassed at all. Sorry, continue.
yes. Okay. 8 ounces Brazil nuts.
Okay.
Oh.
1 pound walnuts. 8 ounces hazelnuts. 1 pound pecans.
Wow.
8 ounces shelled almonds.
Yes.
I don't know why it needed a specified
As opposed to
shelled.
shelled walnuts.
Exactly. And who would, I should put in the whole almond in its shell. That seems weird to me, but there it is. 4 ounces of cashews. Maybe in the old days you had to shell your own. And so they wanted it to be clear, don't go by the weight before you shell them. You need to shell them first and then weigh them.
That makes sense.
Maybe. Okay. Optional 4 ounces of cashews.
That is a lot of ingredients.
No. Cashews are never optional.
Can I just
Put in
say,
the cashews.
this is probably a 3/4 inch slice, and it's easily.
dense. I know. That's
it's
why
heavy.
I tried to cut them smaller. And like
How
I
heavy
said,
you think that brick is?
it is 12 ounces.
Oh wow!
I know
Of
that because
liquid
we have a
gold.
note on here.
Nice.
So that is the fruit and nuts portion of the cake. So one
Not
day
done
in
yet.
advance of baking, you have to prepare the nuts and fruit. Leave everything whole unless it was specified. Drain the cherries and pineapple overnight on paper towels.
Okay.
Okay. Dust all the fruit with a 1/4 cup of flour. Lay the nuts on top and cover it all with a towel overnight. Be sure to use a bowl large enough to hold all ingredients. This is hard. A plastic tub may serve the purpose. So yes, you need a very large bowl for this. So now for the batter. 4 cups of flour combined with a teaspoon nutmeg, 2 teaspoons cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon allspice, 1/2 teaspoon cloves, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 pound of butter, in parentheses, no substitutes, please.
Yes. Please. The please is what makes it.
Oleo?
Yes.
More like nolio.
Yes. 1 pound of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 12 egg yolks, save the whites.
Whoa. Holy Moses.
1 ounce, now here, 1 ounce baking chocolate.
Oh.
Melted. So that's interesting.
There's chocolate in it?
Yeah, just a little. Comparatively,
Huh.
I mean, in amounts. Also, so far, we've been dealing in pounds.
Right.
True.
So 1 ounce melted baking chocolate, the grated rind of 1 lemon and 1 orange.
Huh.
There's your citron.
Yeah.
Instead
Yep.
of citron, they use actual
Use the real thing.
zest. Yeah. Juice of 1 lemon and 1 orange. And a 1/4 cup grape juice or wine. It totally needs more than a 1/4 cup. I don't know why it says that. That's from the old days, I guess.
Grape juice
Okay.
or wine. Should that be
Yeah.
wine or grape juice?
Yeah, maybe. So so to make it, first you cream the butter with the brown sugar and vanilla. Add the egg yolks, chocolate, and the citrus rinds. Mix the flour with the dry ingredients. Add it to the butter. Mix alternately with the liquids. Whip the egg whites until they are quite stiff. Combine the batter with the prepared fruit and nuts. Carefully fold in the egg whites and mix gently. Let me tell you, it is hard to mix
Yes.
this thing gently.
Yeah.
You need
Yes.
all of your arm muscle to get this stuff folded in. And you need a serious wooden spoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lesser spoons just break.
Yeah.
They look at this and they just break.
They cry.
They can't. They literally break in your hand while you're trying to stir. That has happened. Because it is a thick batter. Okay. So you mix it all until it is thoroughly combined. You spoon it into pans which have been oiled and lined with, it says, okay, here, Brie, this is not, I'll correct this in the version that we actually post, but it says lined with wax paper. Whoa. No. What? Maybe they did used to do it, but anyway, we totally use parchment.
Well, parchment paper was not
yes.
readily available until just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I still use wax paper to make layer cakes.
Yeah. We used wax paper when I was a kid.
Yeah. So we make these in smaller loaf pans. We don't use the full size. Obviously, this was
Right. I was like,
it's a small
there's
one.
not
This is
16
not a
pounds.
full size
Food in
thing
this loaf.
of bread. So we fill them. We actually, because it makes so many, and we want them to be consistent in size. We actually get out a kitchen scale.
Nice.
And so we weigh what the little tins weigh and the parchment, and then we zero out the scale, and then we start filling them so that we consistently have 12 ounces in each.
Awesome.
That is like America's test
Loaf.
kitchen level of science
Yes.
in
Yes.
your cookery.
I
I'm
weigh
impressed.
all of my food. It's an obsession.
Well, especially with baking, that's they advise doing that.
Oh, yeah,
instead
weighing
of like
is-
cup and spoon measurements.
I-
even.
Weighing is way more accurate.
Eyeball all of my food.
Yeah.
No, I weigh everything.
Well,
everything.
In this case, it's also, we want it because there's so many of them that we want them to bake consistently.
Right.
And so that's the other reason that we want to have them be the same size, is so that they will bake consistently. So you put them in the pans, bake them at 325 for 2 to 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Exactly.
I can't wait that long.
Because it takes a while for that heat to penetrate. You
gotta wait a year to eat it.
Fruit and nuts. So you put pan of water at the bottom of the oven while you're cooking them to help make it a little more moist.
Oh, so it's almost like a steamed pudding kind of effect.
Almost. The goal with fruitcake is to prevent it from getting dry.
Yeah.
And that's what you're striving for. So you cool it on racks. The parchment makes it very easy to lift it out of the little pan you've baked it in. And then you wrap it in cheesecloth first. And then you brush the cheesecloth with wine or grape juice, something along those lines. Now, you do that, and then you wrap it again in plastic wrap, and you store it in a cool place. Now, this actually says bake a month or 2 before the holidays. I feel it needs longer than that, clearly. Since I'm giving you 10-month-old fruitcake. And ideally, you actually go back and you actually brush it multiple times.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
At the beginning. Like, so you unwrap them and then brush them again, rewrap them up so that, again, you're adding the moisture back in that might have been lost in the baking process, because the fruit is going to be sucking in the moisture, and so you gotta replenish that while it's waiting.
Hence the dark color of the cheesecloth.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So that is the fruitcake process. It is an epic process to actually make it. It is a commitment. It's a multi-day process because you have to start it the day before to get the fruit properly prepared. So, because if it's not dusted in flour, then it tends to like stick.
Yeah.
And then it clumps, and it doesn't get the distribution that you need when you're mixing it all together.
I wondered why you did that.
So
That makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, is it time?
Fruitcake. I think it's time.
Eat it.
I'm a little
it.
nervous because I haven't had this. I'm like, I hope it's still delicious.
Oh, no worries there.
Oh, good.
What do you think, Brie?
It is so quiet.
This is delicious.
I'm a fruitcake
good.
fan, and this is hands down the best fruitcake I've ever eaten.
That is not surprising.
I have often felt this, but again, fruitcake is not often served, and so I don't have a lot of things that I've been able to compare it to. But I know that it's amazing, and whenever people are like, "Oh, I don't like it," I'm like, "But you haven't had."
I feel like you almost have to name it something different so people don't prejudge it.
I'm like,
'Cause
this
it's-
is the very best fruitcake.
Because it's like legitimate cake of fruit.
Exactly.
It's not white lump of dough with some red and green questionable tasting things
I have to think
spotting
that this
it.
would be more like it would have been in the old days.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, well, then this would have been a luxury, too, 100 years ago.
So much dried fruit.
With dried fruit and nuts.
The nuts people would often have sourced locally. But like the orange zest and
Yeah. I
things
mean,
like that. I mean,
100 years ago, this
dates
wasn't...
and figs?
Yeah. This wasn't stuff that you would have eaten on a regular basis. So to have this for a special occasion would have been a real treat. So you know it's going to be something that's pretty amazing.
This is not a kid-friendly food.
Yeah.
More for me, I guess.
Exactly.
More mature palate.
Always nice to have something amazing on the table that they're not going to swoop in.
Okay, well, I just snarfed this down.
Whoa. I'm like halfway through mine.
Like I've never eaten in my life.
Even though we just ate lunch.
Even though we just ate lunch.
you are
did
right.
request 2 slices, to be fair.
The butter is a nice add. I really like that.
My only real experience with homemade fruitcake is my sister-in-law's family, because they are the baking. All of my baking, my like legit baking experience is with my sister-in-law's family. They have all of these recipes, and so when I would happen to be at their house near a holiday, they would make fruitcake, but it wasn't this kind of fruitcake. But they did make like a powdered sugar frosting that they would put on it, and it not like really thick, but like kind of like a buttery texture.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is if, when you pull it out of cold storage and serve it, would that be a time when you could add something like a glaze on the top?
Perhaps.
I mean, not that it needs more sweetness, but
it's not a bad thought.
I mean, frosting can go a long way toward erasing people's prejudice against food.
It's true.
It is true.
Powdered sugar frosting is just like pure
But
sweet.
you know what? The butter on top, like it was delicious both ways. My first bite was without, and my second bite was with. And that butter, man, is that salted or unsalted butter? Delicious.
Salted.
Delicious.
Yeah. It's the Aldi spreadable butter.
Countryside Creamery or whatever.
Yeah.
We love us some cheap groceries here.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we do. So we do with this fruitcake. Usually part of the preparation also involves finding out how many fruitcakes the various sisters in my mom's family want. So if we're going to make these, how many do each of you want? And that then helps us decide, like, do we need to actually... I don't know that we've ever doubled it. We might have increased it by half once. I don't think we've ever actually doubled it because it's massive quantity already.
It's massive, but also it's expensive.
But it is. But that's part of it. So we find out how many they want, and then basically my mom saves all the receipts. And since it is a very straightforward, we're going to have this many fruitcakes, it's simple math to just be like, okay, each fruitcake is going to cost, here's what the cost is. And people then chip in.
I was going to say, this is the world's most delicious word problem.
Yeah. Exactly, towards the cost of it. But it isn't, yes, this is definitely not a cheap treat to make, but it goes a long way. The pictures I have, I'd have to look. I don't remember how many fruitcakes that we actually ended up with this year based on this. But like I was like, I would like, I think I said I wanted 8 or something like that I was going to take home for various people and purposes. My Aunt Mary Jo took some, my mom kept some, my sister had, I think she had one, various aunts had them. And anyway, we worked through distributing all of the...
The original recipe says that it will make 3 standard size bread pans and 3 smaller loaf pans. But obviously, smaller loaf pans go a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. We now we always use the smaller ones.
Because I don't actually own a kitchen scale, the one thing that would make this recipe better for me, just looking over it, is if all the ingredients weren't in pounds and ounces. Like every other recipe I cook is like cups and tablespoons. And I would have to do
Well, I think, though, a lot of them,
conversion.
like you buy it at like the
bulk store.
Exactly. Like at the health food store, you're often buying nuts in bulk.
Yep.
And you can often... nuts do often come in a 1 pound pack.
So use their kitchen scale.
Exactly. Just assume that you're getting the accurate amount.
Or buy in bulk and weigh it before you go.
Yeah, I can do that. It just requires a little paradigm shift, but I think probably one that is worth it.
Yes. Yeah, it would be hard to do some of those nuts in cups just because how bulky they are.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a very accurate measurement.
That's true. Brazil nuts, you'd almost do better to say how many Brazil nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
That is also true.
1 pound of Brazil nuts. That will be 8 nuts. They are big.
Yeah. I believe often in the past with the cherries, we've also actually determined it was better to set those aside. And then at the end, once all the fruitcakes have been put into pans, then we actually go in and add like 1 or 2 cherries to each loaf and be like, this is your allotment of them, because there's not many cherries that it's called for.
Yeah.
And so we're like, that way you can be sure that they all get some.
Okay. I'm going to make this recipe and like triple the maraschino cherries.
I like that idea.
Not that it needs any improvement. It's nigh perfect.
I'm kind of sad there's no cranberries in it, though.
You could that that's where you could start experimenting. Like I said, this one does not have citron, which for some people, that is a key flavor that they want to have in a fruitcake. You can easily add, like, this is a forgiving recipe. Mm-hmm. You're looking at, basically, you could look at, you're like, you need 5 pounds of dried fruit and 5 pounds of nuts. And if I'm just made that up, but it's probably not far off. And so you're like, I don't really care for Brazil nuts. Okay, swap it out or increase one of the other nuts instead.
Extra cashews.
You're still going to have
there you go.
extra cashews. You're still going to have the right ratio of that. That would be more important in this case as opposed to individual dried fruit. So maybe instead of golden raisins, you use cranberries. Because this one calls for regular raisins and golden raisins.
I would keep the golden and swap out the other.
There you go. Swap out the regular raisins.
I like dried blueberries.
Ooh, yeah.
There's options here. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So a metric ton of fruit, a metric ton of nuts, and a light, extremely spice-laden batter, holding them all together.
Yes.
Bake. And then age a long time and top with butter.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds pretty perfect.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm going to have to try that.
I'm ready for a nap. Honestly. I'm going to fall asleep right now.
Belly full of fruit and nuts. And it's got to be pretty healthy, too.
Exactly. Like, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff in it, but you have eaten mostly fruit and nuts compared to cake. So
It's true.
Which is zero fruit and nuts, generally.
Yeah. Why is fruitcake so stigmatized? And the name is not the problem because I love fruit. I love cake.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
I'm curious where that changed in our culture.
yeah, when it became the butt of a
What
joke.
traumatic event happened that caused us all to hate
I mean,
it?
They are often dense and heavy, so that is often one of the jokes, I feel like, is they're like, it's
brick
a
of
brick.
fruitcake.
Yeah. But
We're bringing back fruitcake.
We'll do it.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's so delicious. So if any of you ladies in the lounge have a beloved fruitcake recipe, I would love to see it and compare it to my great grandmother's recipe. And while I have serious doubts that it will be better than mine, I'd still love to give it a shot. I'd like to see the offerings.
I'm going to add to that. If any of you has a recipe that sounds like it tastes a little like Erin's and doesn't require 2 days of hard labor,
that is a fair
Or a kitchen
inquiry.
scale.
or a kitchen scale, please hit me up.
Yes. I would love to hear them. And for those of you that, like Brie, really are not fruitcake lovers, if you like dried fruits and if you like nuts and aren't allergic, then I would urge you to give a shot to particularly this recipe. Maybe go in with a couple of friends on it so that you probably, if you're a newbie to fruitcake, you don't want to end up with 12 fruitcakes of your very own.
Have a fruitcake party.
Yeah, give them
as gifts.
Give them as gifts.
Yeah, but no, people hate that.
That's true. If they aren't,
I gave a family member a fruitcake for Christmas once as a joke, and I don't think it ever
you're
got eaten.
perpetuating the stereotype.
I'm sorry.
It was not a funny joke.
Way to go, Rachel. See, but if you gave this to somebody and didn't straight up, like if you warned them there was nuts in it, but you didn't actually tell them it was fruitcake,
That's true.
Maybe.
yeah,
Maybe.
they wouldn't know.
Holiday loaf.
Holiday loaf.
That's a dead giveaway for fruitcake,
if you
though.
think you have a way to redeem the branding of fruitcake, we can.
If somebody called it a holiday loaf, my mind would immediately jump to it's fruitcake. Like, don't call it holiday loaf.
We should think of some nice German name.
Well, it's actually, I mean, some recipes for Stollen.
Yes.
German Christmas fruit bread are very similar to this. Now, some of them, like the one that is sold up in Frankenmuth, which is amazing and good, are very light and fluffy and just sort of like, wonderful fluffy bread with fruit pieces sticking through it. But some recipes are very much denser and fruitier. And I think that they might come a little close to this. And I wonder if your great-grandmother, I mean, I kind of doubt that she actually invented this recipe.
No, I'm sure
she may have
did
adapted
not.
it. And so it may have actually started out as one of these sort of more traditional European things.
I'm really curious about the cultural heritage of these different types of fruitcake now, because my sister-in-law's family makes Stollen. So it is that more fluffy variety. But if this is, I mean,
You're
if
right.
it's...
Is this a regional specialty?
Is this a regional
somewhere?
fruitcake thing that some are more dense and heavy and some are fluffier? I need to know this now.
Yeah.
I'm so curious. Is Rachel looking it up?
Well, my grandparents apparently came here from the part of Germany that is now Poland, but it was definitely German. I know, exactly. It might be Pomerania.
I wonder if there's like a north-south
So I wonder,
thing.
exactly. I wonder if it's more of, they spoke low German.
Yeah.
They spoke
Low German, High
so
German.
I wonder if this is maybe a fruitcake that is more typical of that part of Europe, and there's a different style that's...
The Stollen?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the fluffy one?
Maybe.
Anthropology.
I know. I need somebody in the lounge.
It's going to take me longer
Sociology.
to look up than we have time for.
Somebody in the lounge needs to know this.
We need a fruitcake scholar stat.
Yes. I really want to ask Concordia Historical Institute if they have any research on the Lutheran German heritage of different types of fruitcakes.
They might have something.
They might. Maybe.
Maybe. They should. Maybe it's downstairs in the museum. And if it's not, it should be in the museum.
Well, if it's in the museum, it might actually be properly aged.
Hey! 50 years later.
Finally, the perfect vintage.
The cracking of the cheesecloth. If we age it one more day, it will be bad.
Yes. So, fruit. This is fruitcake. The very best fruitcake from Audrey Luedtke, offered to you all. Merry, happy beginning of your holiday season. Which actually, that is why I wanted to do it earlier, that it does need time and preparation. And so I thought if we did this now, you might have a chance. It would be a little young, but it's still going to be
2 month
tasty.
fruitcake.
Yeah.
So
It's no
you
10
could
month.
totally still eat it at Christmas, even if it's young. It's still going to be delicious.
Epiphany. That gives you another couple of weeks.
Don't procrastinate. You want to serve it at Christmas, put it
it
on your
now.
calendar now.
Exactly.
Go shopping.
Get on it
this minute.
We often in the past we've done this as an activity, like on the Friday and Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend.
That's perfect.
So think about it.
Everybody's around. Just make them work.
Exactly.
I like the way your family thinks.
The guys are all going to be watching football anyway, so. Sorry, that was very genderist.
No. You might need to ask one of them. This is also
help stir.
generous to help
stir
stir.
it.
I have called Ken in to help me in the kitchen. Sometimes when a batter or a dough is just too unyielding, and I'm like, my arm is about to
That
fall
is also
off.
a helpful
I need the gun
thing.
show. Get in here.
That is also a helpful thing to do with other people. You can take turns. You're like, I need a break. Somebody else come in and stir for
There
a
you go.
bit.
Group activity.
So
I don't own a stand mixer because
yeah.
You don't believe in kitchen gadgets.
You can't use the stand mixer on this. This one
Would it break the KitchenAid?
I don't know,
the
but
motor.
it's no, you couldn't. You could use it for like whipping the egg whites, definitely, and making the initial batter, but combining all of it together, no.
I'm
you
pretty
might
sure
bruise the fruit.
my user booklet, it's like, for my KitchenAid, it's like, do not make a fruitcake with this.
I believe it.
If you're going to use anything like mechanic, use a cement mixer, because I don't have time for this.
Excellent.
Thanks again, Erin. That was delicious and so
so
worth
good.
flying to St. Louis for.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
I'm glad you were in studio to enjoy that.
Oh, man.
All
Ready for a
together.
nap.
Ladies, please share with us both your opinions on whether or not you like fruitcake, and if you have any fruitcake recipes because we want to know your opinions and your love, hopefully your new love of fruitcake once you try this recipe, because it is amazing.
It's good.
2 thumbs up from everyone in this room.
3.
3 thumbs up?
Yeah, I don't have
All
3
right.
thumbs though.
3 thumbs up from Brie.
From me. It's an invisible thumb.
Share all of those things in our Facebook group. You can find us in the Lutheran Ladies Lounge on Facebook. You can also share those things with us on our Instagram page at Lutheran Ladies Lounge. Tag us in your fruitcake expeditions this holiday season. And we'll share them in our story as well. You can find all of our podcasts, including all of our previous recipe card episodes, which never disappoint, ever, at kfuo.org/Lutheran Ladies Lounge or on your favorite podcasting app. You're listening to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Erin.
Brie is sleeping.
Sorry. I fell asleep.
And I am pumped up on fruitcake.
Views and opinions expressed on the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast may not represent the official position of the management or ownership of KFUO Radio, the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. The Lutheran Ladies Lounge is produced by KFUO Radio and available at kfuo.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Join our community on Facebook in the Lutheran Ladies Lounge.